Hello you guys, it is July, so summer is in full swing, and I thought this would be the perfect time to do some thematic reading and read some books with summer aesthetics, hot vibes, hot environments, and just in general summer themes. I have just come back from London, and as you might know, I have been reading Sunburn and I've just finished it. And I think I'm giving it 4 stars or 4.5. I'm not quite sure yet. And that was the most amazing read to do in summer because it's just filled with a lot of sticky passages about yearning and passion and love. It's about coming of age and just that change from girlhood to adulthood while also coming upon a new realization within yourself. It handles queerness with such an interesting lens. We go through religious imagery and looking how that impacted our main character's view of queerness and love and what she has to do in life and the expectations that are put on her. And I think the feelings of shame and sin intertwined with that love, such an intense love, just evokes feelings in you that you didn't really know you had. So that's why I really loved it. And even though the main character can be a little bit irritating with how she's acting, I think you as the reader can tell where everything is coming from and you feel so much for her that you just can't help but root for her. I did wake up really early today because I actually woke up with like some stomach bug. I have no idea. I was cramping so hard. So that's why I'm making matcha, not coffee, because I'm kind of iffy of having coffee right now. But because I woke up so early, I definitely just need some caffeine in me to wake me up because I'm so tired. The first book I'm going to be reading is actually Chlorine, which is a book I got while I was in London. I don't really know much about this. I think it also might be sapphic and is about girlhood. So I'm just on a girlhood roll right now. I've just been really into that type of literature, I think, because I can relate to it a lot. This is a horror book, body horror, I think. I definitely want to read some more horror. I know there's summerween going around. I don't really know how that really works, but I think Chlorine is going to be a great pick for that because I think it has a very summery, hot vibe to it because the main character is a swimmer, and it's also, I think, considered weird girl literature, which I definitely want to dive more into. So let's jump in because I'm really curious about this. Actually, I need to grab my pen because I feel like I'm going to be underlining this book a lot. I've been loving underlining things recently. When I was really tiny, I supposedly didn't really want to swim. I was really scared of the water, but I do not remember that. The only thing I remember is loving swimming. So I can relate to Ren on some level because she is obsessed with water. She's obsessed with swimming and she's obsessed with becoming a mermaid. And she is telling her how she became a mermaid, but a chlorine-based mermaid. But she also does say that she is ever adaptable. She can have her tail in any water that she wants. Similarly to our main character, Ren, I also joined very early on in my life a swim team. I wasn't very much into competitive swimming, but I still love swimming. One day, I definitely want to move somewhere where I can have quick access to the sea because the sea is like one of my first loves in this life. And I'm definitely very much missing being able to swim so much in my early life, even though I hated training, which is why I quit. Swimming and water, that never went away. We're also starting to see a little bit of the kind of weird relationship her coach has with her, even like from the beginning when she first joined the swim team at 7 years old. He's starting to be a little bit weird, and he's starting to tell her things, rules or like instructions that are not even related to swimming or the swim team. For example, tells her to not wear clothes that aren't too slutty, not tease anyone with good looks, and to always come back to him and tell him about everyone she's dating. And even though he's not already touching her like inappropriately, he's definitely very handsy with her, with like demonstrations and whatever else that the swim practice kind of requires, but kind of doesn't as well. You can probably do without being handsy. He's also giving her special treatment, singling her out, telling everyone she's the best, which on one side is kind of like nice to be recognized, but also she's kind of not doing anything to really deserve it just yet. Pretty sure she's a great swimmer and all of that, but I think this is more of like his weird behavior over here. This is a non-linear story. We are following Ren, who is a professional swimmer, or was. We go through her childhood to girlhood to, I think, young adulthood, exploring her obsession with mermaids. And we start when it all started. She got a book about mermaids from her mother. Since then, she just became obsessed with mermaids and wanting to become one. She just gave so much of her to that sport. She developed so much muscle. She trained vigorously. She accepted kind of abusive behavior from her coach, but she was also treated as the perfect example of the perfect swimmer. She was definitely one of the favorites of their coach, so she did also get some certain advantages. And as she was coming into girlhood, she also started experiencing new sensations, such as her period, but also desire, but not really understanding what it means. She's always been on the outskirts of everything. She wasn't one of the popular girls. There was only one other friend that she had at the swim team, which was Kathy, and they started developing a very, very close bond. Ren is becoming dependent on the water, and after she suffers from a concussion, she notices that the only thing that makes her feel better is being in the water and in chlorine. But with her concussion and wanting to be in the water, she had to lie to her doctor to let her actually swim, because she was not supposed to swim until her headaches passed. So because of that, she is going through a lot of pain. So she starts experiencing with some other things that could alleviate this pain, except for painkillers. We're going through these memories of the past while also getting some explanations from the current Ren that has become a mermaid. We also get letters from the present day Kathy to the Ren that is now a mermaid. She's trying to communicate with her and trying to really apologize for everything they've been through, whether it is small things or big things. She just wants to connect with Ren again because she has disappeared and become a mermaid, and she's no longer in that mortal world. With her high school career coming to an end and being in the last 2 years or maybe 1 year, Ren has to start paying attention to what college she wants to go and how to get there and get the scholarship. So she has to guarantee herself a scholarship, a swimming scholarship, which she would be able to do if the recruiters saw her perform very well at regionals. So at the beginning of her sophomore or junior year, she starts training really, really hard. She starts following a strict diet that her coach is putting her on. She is training every day with 4 hours, maybe 6 hours a day, continuing self-medicating for her headaches from the concussion with multiple pills a day. She is under immense pressure. She is training to the point that her muscles are starting to give out. Her body feels constantly tired. And she is also suffering from very, very painful periods. So whenever her period comes on, she starts vomiting, she starts sweating from the pain, and she has to medicate with special pills for period pain on top of her ibuprofen. So her whole organism, her whole body is going through so much. I think we're starting to see this shift of her trying to escape into being a mermaid. I do have to say, I was expecting more of a horror, but I do think it's going to start getting a little bit weirder and a little bit grosser, a little bit more scary about now. I'm halfway through the book, and there is this kind of dread in the air. There's something weird going on. There is just something bigger than all of us, and we're starting to get that feeling of despair. Chlorine is definitely less of a summer read than I thought it would be, but I did really enjoy reading it in the more gray, cloudy days of summer that we just had. Chlorine is a dark coming-of-age tale that explores race, identity, familiar relations, and love, desire, as well as coming to terms with who you are. I really loved how we talked about competitive swimming and the pressures it puts on young adults and young children, and how that environment can create pretty-intense feelings, pretty-intense situations, putting the children at risk, especially with the coaches being whatever they want to be. They basically can do whatever they want because it's not very regulated. And although I have seen people say that they don't really like how this was written, I absolutely loved it. It definitely reminded me of Bunny's writing. It's a little bit more unsettling, a little bit more weird, leaning into the uncanny, into the weirdness of it all with beautiful prose. And I really enjoyed getting lost in it. It actually reminds me of Our Wives Under the Sea. I feel like this is like the younger sister of Our Wives Under the Sea, purely because of the sapphic undertones we explore in this, and obviously the water element, and also what actually happens to our main character. I think it's very, very similar in that sense. It's less of a horror than I anticipated. It blends the line between a literary fiction narrative and a horror book. It does have one very gruesome, very gory body horror passage that I actually thought I might throw up from. I did kind of had to take breaks while I was reading it because I was like, ooh, okay, we're getting down into the deep, you know. I'm giving this book 4.5 stars, very close 5 stars. I think this book does something very amazing, especially considering it's only 220 pages. I do think that if I really tried, I probably could have been able to read it in one day, which is amazing, especially if you want something on your vacation for a one-day book. This is definitely a great pick. For my next book, something in the similar kind of thematic universe, I am going to be reading Annihilation, which is, I think, a science fiction horror. I actually don't really know much about this book. I just know it's about researchers that go on a research mission in a very hot, humid atmosphere, exploring a contaminated area. It's so much less sunny and much colder than I was anticipating for filming this video. So instead of going out to do a picnic and read in the park, I'm going to be continuing to do my pouch that I started in my The Giver video. Turns out each square takes about 1.5 to 2 hours. So I did download the audiobook of Annihilation on my phone. I've read a little bit of the first chapter. You guys, we're thrust straight into the action. This book follows a biologist, anthropologist, surveyor, and a psychologist, with the biologist being our main character. She's narrating this whole story. They're basically tasked with going to Area X and mapping it out and kind of seeing what is going on, because no one that has been there before have been able to come back and give the data to the government. So they're supposed to kind of find out the mysteries of it. But the thing is that they have no communication with the outside world. They are not allowed any phones. They're not allowed any computers. They don't have cameras. They don't have camcorders, so no videos. The only thing they have that is the most outlandish device they have is a small measurement device that is hung from their belts and is going to glow red, which will indicate when they have to evacuate from a certain area and get to a safe place. Okay, already very ominous. They don't know what the red light actually detects, so they kind of just have to go away and hide with basically no knowledge. The cameras they do have, they have to develop in a makeshift dark room, which is to me very crazy for this type of scale of a research mission. They also do have weapons. They have knives, handguns, and assault rifles, but they do not know each other's names, or maybe they do, but they don't communicate with the names because it's said that names belongs to where we had come from, not to who we were while embedded in Area X. I am really intrigued as to what's going on so far, so I'm ready to look in with my audiobook and do a little bit of half stitching while reading. I've been playing Subnautica, and if you don't know what Subnautica is, it's kind of a game where you crash on a alien planet and you're kind of stranded in the sea. I think this planet is mostly made up of the sea. You have to explore this new ecological system and craft all of these new devices and all of that to try and survive the planet and escape. And this is kind of a great companion to this because this is more like the wilderness, the land, the overgrowth, like vegetation and flora. All of that is kind of enhanced in here. So I think they kind of complement each other very well. Obviously, this is more like a research mission. In the game, I'm not actually like researching things. And here, they're just trying to find out what made this ecological devastation into the overgrowth that it is and how they can stop it. Very strange things start happening. As you can imagine, they come across this boar, I think it is, but then they kind of start getting picked out one by one. So the mission kind of becomes compromised, and our main character starts suspecting that there's something wrong with this mission and that they have been wrongly led into this expedition, and that the real reason they're there is something way different, way wilder, and something a little bit more sinister is going on in this Area X. Our main character also gets in contact with one of the fungi. It kind of explodes in her face, and she finds out that the psychologist was actually hypnotizing all of them, because when she tries to hypnotize them to agree with whatever she proposed, she became immune to it because of this ecological thing that exploded in her face. Concerning that they were being hypnotized and they don't even know what they have been told before, what other commands have been used before that. Annihilation is surreal fiction with very detailed world building. I would classify it as speculative horror. It very much implies that there is something grotesque going on, and all the characters, and especially the main one, is in a frenzy to find out the mysteries of whatever they're doing. The vision in this book is unlike anything I've seen before. It's so unique. The ability to craft all of this actually unreal. This book and this writing makes you believe the inconceivable and creates something that you don't think could ever exist. Though I do struggle with aphantasia myself. So if you're like me and you can't really imagine things straight from your brain, you kind of need like a stimuli to be able to visualize everything, I feel like you're gonna struggle with this book, because even though the world building is done really well, I can't picture it in my head unless it's something I'm kind of familiar with. Whereas this is basically nothing I can compare it to anything in real life. So to me, it definitely was more like reading words on paper than most books. And that was also perpetuated by the fact that we don't really have much character study in here, which makes sense. This is more science fiction, more focused on the plot, the world, and creating this crazy, crazy world. And while I'm usually a very big fan of weird fiction, I think this didn't really do it for me, which is why I'm giving this book 3 stars. I really enjoyed what it was doing up until a certain point where I kind of lost where we were going and where we were at all. It kind of goes into a flurry of actions that just don't really have much meaning. We don't really have many explanations of this book, especially of Area X and how it works, why the people that are there are really there, which I'm guessing is probably explained later on in the series. But I don't really like when I'm left asking a lot of questions at the end of book 1. I would like to have some semblance of understanding of the situation, whereas I don't think I have a grasp on it at all, which is a shame because I really liked our main character, although I don't know how much I can actually trust her. And I do have to say, I did find the maybe ending a little bit predictable. Though I did enjoy this book. It's not like I was actually dreading picking up this book. I think it's such an interesting concept of what is going on, and I think the series could actually expand on this very well. I just don't think I will like it. Though I would say if you like getting lost in the surrealism in books, this is definitely the book for you. I know both of these books weren't like traditional summer reads, but I definitely really liked having a little bit of horror in summer because I've been really getting into horror. So these were really great for summer. They were kind of like lighter horrors, more like implied horror, you know? And this will be all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!